Hello, and welcome to Eyewitness News. Today we will be giving you headlines about today's news.
Hello, my name is Mary Julie, and today's top list is Tommy, who will be talking about the Russian-Japanese War.
Hello, Tommy here from Eyewitness News. I have information about the Russo-Japanese War. The Russo-Japanese War was a conflict between Russia and Japan over land ownership. The Russian occupied Manchuria, a part of Asia, which is what started the conflict with the Japanese, leading to war. The Russians had the world's most powerful army, or so they thought. The Russians were supremely confident and did not expect the Japanese to go to war because the Japanese were small compared to Russia, so they weren't prepared. It was the far better prepared Japanese who won victory after victory in a series of land and naval battles. The war was a disaster for Russia, the worst battle yet. The Japanese won and the Russians lost. They ended up making a peace treaty. According to the peace treaty, both Japanese and Russia agreed to evacuate Manchuria.
Thank you, Tommy, for the Japanese and Russian War. Our next story is from Letitia, who will be talking about airplanes.
Thank you, Mary Julie. I'm here in Vedette, Cape Breton, where Alexander Graham Bell's Silver Dart landed on the ice February 23rd earlier this year. This silver-winged machine rose on its second try after flying about 30 meters. It was traveling at an elevation from 3 to 9 meters at about 65 kilometers for nearly a kilometer. Alexander was a flight enthusiast throughout his childhood. After many successful flights in Hammondsport, New York, early in 1909, he dismantled, plated, and brought the Silver Dart to Vedette Bay, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, Bell's Canadian home. The Silver Dart flew more than 200 times before being completely damaged, landing on the soft sand of Petawawa last week, in August. This event has brought many to remember the first aircraft powered by the Wright brothers. Their first flight took place at a beach in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, December 17, 1903. With Orville Wright as the pilot, the aircraft took off from a launching rail and traveled at a distance of 37 meters. With 3 more tries that day, alternating the pilots with Orville and his brother Wilbur, they achieved their longest flight, lasting 59 seconds and flying 260 meters. These new inventions will enable traveling for the whole world, and we all cannot wait for it to be accessible to all humans. This was Letitia Gentran in Vedette, Cape Breton. Thank you, Mary Julie. Our next story is from Mary Julie talking about women's rights.
Today, I will be talking to you about women's suffrage in the early 1900s. The women actually decided that if they can't make any decisions from the parliament, then why would they obey them? Men thought that women wouldn't understand Parliament, therefore they refused for them to vote in the 1903, so this made many women angry. So during these years, 2 women got arrested by the police officer for technical assaults against politicians because they wanted to ask them something and they refused. So they did technical assaults. The women were very happy to go to jail in those days. Later on, women burned down churches of England, and also they broke down windows on Oxford Street, which is a famous street. The government kept them in jail until they became weaker and weaker. And when they became weaker, they took them out of jail, so they knew that violence would be over for them. But when they get a little bit more strength, they would bring them back to jail, so violence would be over again. During they were in jail, they didn't eat that much. The government didn't really care, which made them, government found that normal that women wouldn't eat and actually died because of not food and not having any drink and nothing. So that's when they realized that they needed women, and also they started to make her vote in 1917.
Mary Julie for those interesting facts. Our next story is coming from Emily, who will be talking about popular music.
Music around the 1900s. It's been ragtime since 1897, and it still seems to be the hit now. The Entertainer has been one of the most popular songs in the 1900s. It was in the top 40 of the hits of the years and rated as the 10th best song of the century. The Entertainer was a classical piano rag that was composed by Scott Joplin and recorded by Joshua Wilkin in 1902. This original music makes it enjoyable to listen and to figure out. Sorry, I missed the last line of the games. This time in and out with.
Our next story is coming from Emily, who will be talking about the lifestyle in Canada.
Life in the 1900s is depressing and the jobs are extremely hard. There is a pandemic going around called the Spanish influenza. Many people are sick and are ill. There are several hospitals, but not a lot of people can get in because of the amount of people already sick, and the hospitals are crowded. They don't have a vaccine yet for the flu. The living conditions are poor because the houses are absolutely too small. And if you're a normal average Canadian, you have to share with a bunch of people, which is not always too pleasant, living with a bunch of crowded people. Find engines through the streets in a fire emergency. By the turn of the century, telephones uses increased from ordering household goods to supplying jobs for women. This was what it was like living in the 1900s. Thank you.
Our next story will be from Rebecca, who will be talking about Pablo Picasso.
A famous painting artist born in 1881, his name Pablo Picasso. He first started painting at the age of 15 because of his father was a painter, so he decided to also involve his son in the painting. Around the age of 20, he started his blue period. This period was mostly dark, blue, greenish colors. He started this period because of one of his friends who died. After that, he continued doing portraits of people he knew but they were dead. In 1905 is when Pablo Picasso started his rose period. The reason why he started his rose period was because he was in love. His rose period was paintings that were more bright and happier. After his rose period, he started his cubism period. In 1909, he started this period with George Braque, and Pablo Picasso created this painting, the Demoiselle d'Avignon, which was very popular at the time. But the highest selling painting was Garçon à la paix, which is also in English, One with a Pint. Pablo Picasso later than that.
And that's how we saw the news in the early 1900s.
This was